For the image effects, if we go to our plus, we'll go down to our tile set here and choose the image effects folder. And for this one, most of the default settings right here are going to work, but we're going to look at a couple of trigger settings just to kind of help out with some of the effects in terms of how it starts and how you can use it. So if you go down to the tile types and click on image effects, we'll go ahead and label it here. We'll say image effects, and this will be visual effects for the camera. And it'll be full screen style effects. Depending on how you want to use it, this may be a visible object that you want to run into and trigger and actually have the image come up or go away. If it is, then you can keep it. I'm going to actually turn this one off just so that during game I don't see it. We'll take our thumbnail and assign it to the thumbnail view. Alright. And collider, I'm going to go ahead and turn my collider options off for it. If you go down to the, let's see, we'll go down to trigger settings. So trigger settings, if you want to use it this way, so just kind of a twofold on it. If you want to use it so the player can walk over it, and you want to go ahead and have it available, then you can click enable here. The activate by is just simply like current one is just saying if an object runs into it that's a player. The state of it is going to be kind of the one core component. If you want the image effect to visually be displayed at the start, then you can say on start. That way, if you wanted you want a certain effect just to be on the screen the whole time, you can say this way. And then the enter and exit can be on none, meaning that you don't actually want to use those states. However, if you do, as a for instance, you can do it where the effect only occurs when the player enters it and it gets turned off when the player leaves the trigger box. And again, the trigger box can be of any size, so you can make it large or small. Alright, so we'll say on start, but we'll go ahead and leave the enable disable just in case the player wants to test something out by going through it. And this is more of the development side. I don't think I would release a tile this way just because it could cause some issues if you put it in the path of a player and they didn't realize it. So in here we've got a lot of different settings. The one setting that is a little bit tricky is going to be the image effects. So the actual image effects by default is set to 181. So this is literally just the full list of effects. There's no actual label name for them. It's just the number. So you'll want to go into build a game, go through your numbers, find the number you want, and then assign it. For instance, the 181 is that TV effect, so that you get the old screen television effect happening on it. All right. There is a enable effect for the entire system, in that if you say enable effect, you're turning it on. If you say off, you're turning it off. So it becomes whether it's usable or not usable. You have one that is show an editor, and usually I like to have this one on just so you know that if you have it set to the right number, then it'll come up with a fun effect during edit mode. Alright, there is a display for time. This is so that if you trigger it so that when it becomes active, you can say on enter, show it for 4 seconds, show it for 50 seconds, and then have it turn off. There's also an option for each of the image effect tiles that you can actually disable all effects. So you may have 5 or 10 effects inside the scene at one time, and you just simply want to turn them all off. Then you can enable the disable effects for everything. And again, these are also all available in the trigger event setting, so that if you want to have an item trigger the event for it and then have it turn off that way, you can. The loot color, same way, there's an ID for it. You can go through, find the right one, 172 with the 0 on it, options for the loot colors, and you can actually just go through and choose which one you want, and then enable those if you want that for it. Again, full screen, just like the image effects. And then for those, there is a blend value, and you want to just look at the video on this one. It'll cover all the parts and pieces so that you can see them. But the blend value original, this is just going to take the intensity across the whole scene and make everything brighter based on the loot texture that you assign to it. You can do the result and the final, so you can actually have quite a bit of control over tweaking the values for everything. That way, if you get a tile set and it's not exactly what you want in terms of color, or there's like 5 different like color palettes going on, I would definitely recommend grabbing a loot color and dropping it on there. It'll help really blend and connect your scene together. Alright, and then the last part of this one is just going to be the options for the rain, snow, color, and paper. All the shaders inside of the image effects, so all the 100 and 200 something of them, they all have a set of values. Currently, the only ones that we're bringing out for use are the rain effects, snow, color, and paper settings. So you can go through those. Again, I'd encourage you, if you're going to go through them, either check out the videos or go into Bag and walk through the editor with those and just kind of visually see what you want, and then put them into here so that they come up the way you want when you drop it in. Alright, so that's going to be the image effects. Again, the up at the top here, just as a reminder, your trigger state, if you want to use it, then you can use it. Otherwise, you can say none, just so that the enter, exit aren't actually being used for it.